Ding. We're on page 133 in grammar. 133. 133. Review, which is nice, meaning you guys already know this. Ah, hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Ooh. Um, the who which clause, we know about that. You guys are already using that in your writing, and we already find it in this book, so this should be pretty easy. It's basically a clause that adds detail to a sentence. It is a dependent clause, which means if you remove the who which clause, you will still have a sentence. So it's just adding information to a sentence that's already complete. So they're going to have you do a little activity together on this page. So it says combine the two sentences by changing one into a who which clause. And there's two ways to do this because there's two sentences here. This first example says the outlaws distrusted the stranger. The outlaws rushed to help Robin. Those are the two sentences. How can we, and you can raise your hand if you know, combine those and use one of those sentences for a who which clause? How can we combine those into and then use a who which clause there? Anybody have any ideas? Grace and Alex.
Um, the outlaws distrusted the stranger who rushed to help Robin.
Mm, that makes it sound like the stranger rushed to help Robin. So try putting it here after outlaws, like the outlaws who distrusted the stranger. And then how would you finish the sentence?
Rushed to help Robin.
There you go. So the outlaws who distrusted the stranger rushed to help Robin. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to reverse those. Anybody can tell me that one? If you start with this part and then put the who clause here. Okay, so the other way would be the outlaws who rushed to help Robin distrusted the stranger. So basically, either way, I want you to go ahead and write it there on those lines. Either way, you can start with the outlaws and then comma, who distrusted the stranger. They didn't give us enough space here. Comma, rushed. Okay, that's the one I chose to write about. But if you like it the other way, the like the outlaws who helped Robin distrusted the stranger. Either way. But the who clause has to come after that word outlaws because that's who you're explaining. Okay. And then there's another example here, and I want you guys to think about how can we combine these two sentences. You'll have to use which on this one because we're talking about the water. So the two sentences are the water flowed under the bridge, the water moved swiftly. So how can you, somebody different than Grace and Alex, how can you combine those two with a which clause after water? But you have any ideas? JC?
The water moved swiftly, which flowed under the bridge.
Not quite. So think about after the word water. Try it again here after water, which. So say the water which, and then keep going, flowed under the bridge like that.
The water which flowed under the bridge moved swiftly.
There you go. Now you got it. So remember, whenever we use a who which, it has to go right after what you're talking about, because otherwise, if you said the water flowed under the bridge, which moved swiftly, it sounds like the bridge is moving swiftly, right? That didn't quite work, but you have to put it right after the word water because both of these are talking about the water. So the water, comma, which flowed the other way to do it would be to say the water which moved swiftly flowed under the bridge. That's another way to say it. Okay. This next part says complete the who which clauses. Remember to include commas. There are multiple right answers. So for this one, we're just going to say it because it doesn't really give you a lot of room to write it. So for the first one, we have Robin. You can just stick a comma here and put who. The next one is about the bridge. The bridge is going to say which. So let's talk about Robin first. Think of a reason why Robin would be drenched. Robin, who fell into the river, was drenched. Robin, what happened to Robin? Any other ideas? Zach, do you have any ideas on what happened to Robin here? Robin, how did he get wet?
Slipped into the river.
Slipped into the river? That would work. Robin, who was stuck out in the rain, was drenched. Robin, who got pushed in the swimming pool, was drenched. I mean, you could put whatever, or say whatever. We're not going to actually write it in because, like I said, there's not enough room. But just notice you would use who when you're talking about a person right after that. And then whatever you put in your who clause has to be about Robin and why he's drenched. All right, how about this one's either going to be for Lucy or Grayson Freeborn because I haven't heard you guys yet. The bridge, which blank was just a log. What could you say about the bridge? The bridge, which, what do you think, Lucy? What kind of a bridge or what size is it? What kind is it? Is it over something? You got one, Grayson Freeborn? Go for it.
Which fell.
Okay, the bridge which fell was just a log. That's a good one. Yep. Could be the bridge which was over a rushing stream was just a log. Got one, Lucy? She's
The
thinking.
bridge which was old.
Yes, there you go. Which was old, was just a log. There you go. That's a good one. All right, you get the idea. If it's a person or a character, you're going to use who. If it's a thing like a bridge, you're going to use which. All right, let's move on. Practice page. I'm going to have Zach read this page today. Please. Oops, you're muted. I don't know if you read it yet. Or maybe he froze. Did you freeze?
My computer's glitching out.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Should I pick somebody else to read it, maybe?
I could do it.
Go for it.
Suddenly shouts were heard in the distance. Branches rustled, and 20 strong outlaws burst from their hiding places.
Okay, good. You made it. Rustled is our word that just means like to make sounds from being moved or stirred. Like if somebody's outside walking around in the dry leaves or branches or something, you can hear that rustling sound. Okay, it's a sound. So it actually is a verb. It has ed. That's the vocabulary. There's one article. Go ahead and find that by yourself. There's 5 nouns, so I'll have Lucy start us off with the nouns.
Branches
Okay, good.
is shouts now.
Shouts is a noun, yes.
Outlaws.
Okay, good.
Hiding place.
Places, not the hiding part, but places is. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. You got one more. It's going to be right after that article. Remember how that sometimes,
Distance.
yeah, that can be a clue that a noun is coming. So the distance. Distance is a noun. Very good. Okay. And then the adjectives, Grayson Freeborn.
Strong.
Okay, good.
They're hiding.
Yes, and there is incorrect. Did you notice that?
Yes.
How should we spell it, Grayson?
Their.
Yes, there you go. And you're right, that is an adjective. So that's 3. One more.
The distance.
No, that's an article. It's going to be a how many outlaws are there?
20.
Yeah, but we got to make it a word. So let's cross out 20. TWENTY. You guys probably know that. And then adjective on top of that. So whenever a number can be expressed in 1 or 2 words, that's when you want to write it out. All right, where are we? We got the adjectives, adverb, Grace and Alex.
You want me to do the adverb?
Yes, please.
Suddenly.
Suddenly. You're right. That has the ly right there. And the coordinating conjunction, JC?
And
And that's easy right there. Good. Coming back to prepositional phrases, and we'll come back to main clauses. Let's move on to the subject verb pairs. So Lucy, sorry. I have a Lacey in my class before this. Lucy. What about the subject verbs? Let's find those together. Looking at that first sentence here. What do you see as far as verbs go?
Ish. Shouts. Wait.
Shouts is actually the subject. It's weird. That's going to be the noun. It's not a verb here, but what did the shouts do basically?
Here.
They were heard. So were and heard. So shouts were heard. Those go together. The subject is shouts and they were heard. Now look at the next sentence. Another verb.
Burst.
Burst
Is the verb.
is the verb. And what is it that burst?
Outlaws.
Good, that's the subject. And then back here, there's another verb, ed,
Rustle.
rustled. And what was it that rustled?
Branches.
There you go. You got it. Good. So branches rustled, outlaws burst. Those go together. All right, now that we have subject verb pairs, now we can find the main clauses. So Grace and Freeborn, what are the main clauses here?
Shouts were heard in the distance.
Good, that's one.
Branches rustled.
Yes, good.
20 strong outlaws burst from their hiding places.
Very good. Yes. So you didn't include and that's correct because the and is connecting 2 clauses together. So they're going to be separate. And then Zach, I think I accidentally skipped you by accident there. What are the prepositional phrases?
In the distance
Good.
and from their hiding places.
Good. Nice. Excellent. Very good. And then we got 2 openers. Grace and Alex, what are the 2 openers here? Got 2 sentences.
An ly adverb opener.
Which is a number, what? Do you remember?
3.
Good. 3. ly. Good. What's the other one?
A subject opener.
Yes. Good. What number is that?
1.
Good. You got it. 1 subject. And then that one goes 3. All right. And JC, well, we can find the capitals. Those are pretty easy. I'm going to have JC What about the comma rule? What are we going to do about that one? You know where the comma goes, or do we take one out? Well, there's none in there, so we're going to have to actually put one in. You know where it goes?
Is it after suddenly?
Not after suddenly. It has to do with the second sentence.
Branches rustled?
Yes, because it's two main clauses. You guys remember MC, comma, CC, MC? Remember when we did that one time a couple weeks ago? So whenever you have two full main clauses connected together with the word with a CC, you need a comma. So that's where that goes. Good job on that. Period at the end. Homophone is there. We already got that. And we already got the number. I always like it when we get to the end. It's like, oh, wait, we already did that. Wait, we already did that. Wait, we already did that. We're done. Right? We got it all right? I think we did. Okay. All right. Good job, you guys, on your grammar. Before, go ahead and get your binder out and get your stuff out from that. But before we get started with our writing part of the lesson, I need to talk to you guys about state testing. No, it's not fun. I do know that. I do remember having to do that when I was in school. So, but I want to talk to you about it because it's coming up. Some students are saying it's coming up in 2 weeks. Some students are saying it's coming up in like 4 weeks. So sometime between now and May, you guys are going to have to do the state test. And that's the CASP. You guys remember about the CASP? You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, good. And part of your test is going to be to write. And they will give you a prompt. It's mostly online. So you're going to be on the computer and it'll show you a box and it'll say something like read the following paragraphs. And then you have to read it and then it'll say write a response to the paragraphs or something like that. Okay? The thing I'm excited to tell you is that you guys already know what to do. And when you take the written test, when you take the writing test for the state, you can have scratch paper. The scratch paper is used for math too, but you can also use paper for writing. So when you sit down to take the writing part of the test, you guys already know how to do your keyword outline. Do that. If they want you to write a response to 3 paragraphs, you're just going to do your 3, like Roman numeral 1, 2, 3 in your outlines, your keyword outlines, and you're going to start filling it in as you're looking at the paragraphs that you have to read. You can find keywords in there from facts from each paragraph. Okay. You're going to look for those topics, and we're going to review that again. And those topics will drive your information for your paragraphs. And then use your checklist in your head. You guys have been doing it enough now. A lot of it's already there. So in the chat right now, if you know how to use the chat, put some things that you know that are on your checklist without looking at your checklist. What are some of your dress ups that you have to do? Just put them in, start putting them in the chat. What are some of the openers that you have? What are some of the parts of your writing that you have to put in when you turn it in? The who, which clause. Good. I'm seeing some come in now. ly adverb, yes. What's another type of dress up you have? Try to remember without looking. Because clause, good. Strong verb, good. You got that? Yep. Quality adjective, I think, is on there, and maybe the Asia word. So if you remember the Asia words, when, while, where, those words, yep, quality adjective, I see that. So you already know those great words to include in your writing. I am not kidding when I say this because I've been a teacher for a long time. I've been a teacher for about 23 years now. And I've only been doing this class for about 6 years, 7 years maybe now. So, but I know what it's like to be a regular teacher in a regular classroom, And if I were a regular teacher in a regular classroom and you guys wrote the papers that you write now, and I saw that, I would be like, wow, you are an amazing writer. And I'm not just saying that because I'm your teacher. I'm saying that because I know what the regular students that don't have this class, what they turn in. And it's not anything like what you guys turn in. You guys are way above that. So when you sit down to take your state writing test, remember the keyword outline and remember your dress ups. And we also have your topic clincher, right? That's on your checklist too. You guys know about the topic clincher. It's got the 2 or 3 key words that you repeat or reflect in there. You also have a couple openers. Remember your openers, your prepositional opener and your ly opener. So that's my advice. And we're going to talk more about this next week. And we're going to practice some stuff. But if you end up having to take the writing test for your state test before we see each other again, that's all you got to do is however many paragraphs they want you to write, that's how many topics you're going to need. If they want you to write an essay, typically that's 5 paragraphs. That's what you guys have been working on lately is 5 paragraphs. That introduction and the conclusion, those are the 2 outside paragraphs. Those 3 in the middle, those are your body paragraphs. That's what we're going to talk about again today. But those body paragraphs are 3 different topics. So whatever you're reading for your test, look for 3 different topics. And you know how we find those. What are those paragraphs mostly about? And that's your key, that's your topic. And then you start writing your keyword outline, looking for the details that support that. Okay, I just want to give you a little talk about that because it's coming up. Don't be afraid of it. You guys are ready, more ready than anybody else out there that hasn't had this class. Use your scratch paper that they give you, okay, to map it out. And use your checklist that's in your head. You got that. Okay. Now, back to the binder. Are there any questions about what I just talked about? Hold on, that's not what I need to share. I meant to share my, hold on a second. Any questions? No? You guys are good? This is what I'm sharing. Okay, we are actually finished with the paper you guys were working on, troglobites. So you can go ahead and put away troglobites. We're not going to take the time to read them today in class. Make sure you go to the Google Classroom though to see my notes. The page, this one, I do want you to keep this tan page in the tab that says stylistic techniques because you might need to come back to this later for your next paper. So put it behind the tab that says stylistic techniques. Keep it in there. So when you go to write and you need a preposition, you can use this list. Prepositional phrase. The rest of the stuff for troglobites can go away in your finished binder or folder, wherever you're keeping your finished stuff. Once you put it all away, you can get out the next lesson, which is where it usually is behind that first tab, that source text tab. It's going to be Amelia Earhart. That's who we're writing about this week. Amelia Earhart, it's week 15. So go ahead and get those out. It's a lot. It's a lot of articles we're going to read. Let's see how many pages we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages you're going to get out for week 15. And you need a piece of white, big white paper. Hopefully you still have some of those in the back. If you're out of white paper, you can go get a piece of like printer paper. You're just going to have to write really, really small. Hopefully you have some big white paper left. All right. Once you got all that, you can give me a thumbs up. So I know you're ready. The white page, good. And all of week 15. Okay, good. I see that. Okay. Good. I don't know. It's possible. I don't think so, but it's possible that your writing test for the state might be summarizing multiple references. And if that is the case, you know how to do this too. This is what we've been working on lately with the big white page. So you would just, fold your little scratch paper the way we fold our big paper, take your notes, your keywords from each source about the different topics. Just do the pattern like we do in class. Okay. All right. And let's go ahead and fold the paper first. Let's just get our keyword outline set up. Did you find one, Zach? Did you have to get a small one? Like a small, yeah, that's okay. So you'll probably just have to write really small. Hopefully you can, oh no, it's a big one. Okay, good. Do the taco fold. You guys know how to do that first. Do this one first, that way. And then you know what to do, fold it into thirds from here. So past the middle a little bit. And then the other side on top of that. So it ends up being in thirds. Okay. When you summarize multiple references, just going to pause this for a second. When you summarize multiple references, you have to know what your subject is first. The subject of this paper is Amelia Earhart. It can be anything like what we've been working on, like troglodytes, like coconut crabs, and it could be anything like Abraham Lincoln or Benjamin Franklin or any topic, I mean, subject that you get. The subject is the main thing that you're writing about. The second step is to list your possible topics, though. That's the second step in writing a paper about from multiple references. So you got to know what your subject is, and then you have to make your list of possible topics. And so that's what we're going to work on today first, because we may not need A, B, and C and D for every topic that we choose. So what I'm going to have you do is start with the bottom right corner here. And this is where we list our possible topics. So just the bottom right side here, possible, topics. We're going to start with that because even though we have 4 reference sources, we may not need all 4 as we write. So we're just going to start with this box of possible topics. This is the next step here. So that's all we're going to write on this white page so far. Now go to source text A. This is page 143. Because we have so much to read, these are long, and we only have just a certain amount of time, it is okay to skim when you're doing a research paper like this. Now, when you're doing the state test, you will need to read everything because that's what they want you to do for the state test. Okay, I just want to let you know that ahead of time. You must read it. Don't just skim it. You have to read on the state test. For this style of research, we're skimming. And I know we practiced that before with the troglodytes. I think we did it too for the coconut crabs. But what we do is just read the first sentence, and then we kind of just pick out some keywords in here that we see that our eyes fall on, and then we decide, okay, what is this paragraph mostly about? And then we label it. Okay, so that's the next step here. I'll do the first paragraph, and then you guys can take turns with the paragraphs after that. All right, this is Amelia Earhart, a sensation. By the way, has anybody heard? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of that name before. If you haven't heard of that name, that's okay. Okay, good. You guys have heard her. Okay. Born in Atchison, Kansas on July 24th, 1897, to Amy and Edwin Earhart, Amelia Mary was the firstborn of 2 children. That's the first sentence. Now I'm going to skim. I see basketball, aviators, airplane, 1909, Wright brothers, Philadelphia, hockey, president, courage, World War One, watching planes land. Okay, so see how your words might have been a little bit different than the ones that my eyes ended up falling on. That's okay. But I know enough now about that paragraph that I'm actually going to call it early life. And typically when it's talking about a person, that's usually where it starts. So turn it to the side here. Let's put early life here. Okay, that's pretty basic. For that first paragraph about Amelia Earhart, turn it to the side and write early life. And go ahead and go to your white page here. And that's going to be our first topic list. Early life. That's how you do it. Okay, this is the pattern. You guys have done it a bunch with me now. This is how we do this. Okay, so we got that first paragraph. If you're writing your state test, you're not going to be able to put early life actually on the paragraph, but you can still make a list in front of you, okay, of the possible topics that you see. All right, for this next part, I'm going to have JC go ahead and do the next paragraph. Just read that first sentence and then kind of skim a little bit, see how you do, just kind of pick out a few words in the paragraph and see if you can tell me what you think it's about.
Determined to fly herself, in 1921, Earhart obtained an aviator's license.
Okay.
American publisher,
Okay.
Lady Lindy,
Okay.
Atlantic Ocean, Atlantic, I mean,
Okay.
gold records,
Mm-hmm. I see
accomplishments.
accomplishments. I see first woman. Yeah. I'm thinking this is her accomplishments. Is that what you're thinking too? Yeah. Good. I agree with that. Accomplishments. It is also, it sounds like it's also like her first flight. So actually, I might include that here too, because she just got her license. And maybe it's her first, oops, sorry for the glare. Turn this off. There we go. It does mention her first flight. So I'm actually going to label this with 2 different labels here. That's the second paragraph on that. So here we're going to put accomplishments. And I'm just going to put both first flight. And by the way, we need to put an A with this because we're going to also list what articles we are finding this in. So when we go to do our keyword outline, we know where to go to find the information. Okay. Lacey, I'm going to have you do the next paragraph on the back of this page. So this is going to be page 144. Read the first sentence and then we'll skim from there. Oops, you're muted. Excuse me. Lucy, you're going to read this one.
Writing on the confidence of success, Earhart set out to accomplish her dreams, to be the first woman to
You're close. Circumnavigate.
circumnavigate the globe in a plane.
Good.
In this attempt to do this,
Hey, you
Amelia,
can stop there because this is when you're going to skim now. So you're going to skip words and kind of pick out any keywords that you see throughout. And just go read them. Yeah, read them when you.
Amelia Navigator
Okay.
Fred Newman,
Okay.
Oakland, Florida. I mean, California, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Africa. New Guinea.
Okay, there you go, New Guinea. Try to skip a little bit more. See if you just, and like, you can kind of like read inside your head.
Howland Island.
Uh-huh.
Lost contact, U.S. Coast Guard.
Yeah. Lost contact. That's important. I see never made it. Lost again a couple of times. So what would you say this paragraph looks like it's mostly about?
Her attempt.
Yeah. And if you know anything about Amelia, she disappeared. Have you guys heard about that? She disappeared. So this would be like her last flight and disappearance. So on the side here, let's put last flight / disappearance. So if you know anything about her story, she literally disappeared. That doesn't happen to people very often. You know, people die, we know that, but not very often does it happen where they just suddenly just disappear. They didn't know what happened to her. And when you go back and you write about this, you'll find out why. Right now, we're just tracking the possible topics. So last flight / disappearance. So that's what we're going to put here. Last flight / disappearance. A. Okay. Next paragraph. Oh, you got that? Grayson Freeborn, when you're ready. Read the first sentence and then go ahead and skim. You're gonna let your eyes go. I know it's a hard skill to learn, but it takes practice, just kind of letting your eyes go. But read the first part.
Amelia Earhart was a prominent woman in 20th century history, from being elected,
Yeah, I know it's hard. Now try to skip through and see if you can figure out what this is about. Oh, you can keep you muted again by accident. So unmute and kind of just read some words out loud that you see throughout.
elected the first president of the 1990s, an
Okay.
organization to help female pilots, breaking numerous air records.
Mhm.
Certification of honorary membership of the British Guide of Air Pilots and Navigators.
Okay. It's kind of talking about her accomplishments again,
Her awards or something.
like her awards, yeah. But she's gone. We don't know if she died, but she disappeared. We can assume she died. What is it called when you talk about her accomplishments, like after somebody dies? Do you know what that word is? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? JC, do you know what that word is? Sorry.
Is it called a documentary or a biography?
Yeah, that's like their whole story. But the word I'm looking for is legacy. You guys know about legacy? So a legacy means like something that someone leaves behind, like, they named some buildings after her, a school, or she left an impression on people, so they remember her this way. Kind of like, I don't know why I keep thinking about this. I'm thinking about Mike the Headless Chicken right now, and I don't know why, but remember his legacy was when, they had the Headless Chicken Festival and they did all the activities and stuff. It's kind of like that where, whoops, um, to remember them. So let's call this legacy, which includes her accomplishments. Like she has her own line of clothing, it says in there. So you'll find out when you read that part later. So legacy, that here, legacy, and that's an A. All right, so we're done with that. Now here's the thing. In this binder that you guys are working on, you're gonna notice, oh, I forgot one more thing though. Just because I like to do this way on the front, just put a big A like that. Then I know it goes with the A in my outline. But I was going to say, they have it super organized for you. I'm just going to give you that clue because you're going to see a pattern here with these topics. So we're going to keep going on these articles, but you're going to notice that the same topics are in here. So it'll be faster for this one because we'll know what topics it's talking about. So Grace and Alex, go ahead and read the first sentence of this article. This is page 145. Put a B at the top of this one and then read the first sentence and kind of skim. And then it's going to be, I'm going to give you a heads up. It's going to be one of these. So you tell me which one you think, what kind of topic it is for this one.
On July 24th, 1897, Edwin and Amy Earhart took flight as they welcomed Amelia into their family in Atchison, Kansas.
Yes, good. Okay.
They moved,
Uh-huh.
and she played basketball and hockey.
Okay. Can you kind of tell what this is, which one of these possible topics we already have here?
Early life.
Yep, I agree. This is early life. So go ahead and put early life here. Good. So like I said, this is super organized for you. You're going to see the same pattern here. So write early life next to that paragraph. And then on this list, all we're going to do is a comma B because we know that early life is in B too. All right. Zach, you're next. Do the next paragraph. And then as soon as you know what this paragraph is mostly about, you can just tell me what you think it is about.
Okay. After receiving her pilot's license in 1921, it wasn't long before Earhart became one of the most famous aviators in America. Popularity, female passenger, transatlantic flight.
Transatlantic.
Husband, George Potman. Woman's altitude record, 18,450 feet.
What do you think?
First flight, maybe?
Yeah, her first, because she got her license, but it's also like her accomplishments. I think we called it both of those. Yeah, I agree. First flight. Good, Zach. And then accomplishments. And then that's going to be right here. You're going to put a comma and a B next to that one. I know it seems kind of like tedious to take the time to label all these paragraphs and all this, but this is actually going to help you when you get ready to write. That's why we do this. It's important to stay organized like this. This next one, and I'm just going to go, actually, I think JC, you do the next. No, you already did one. I think everybody had a chance to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit faster. and help you guys get this part done. She was an excellent pilot. That's the first sentence on that one, so that's pretty short. But I see accomplished. First woman flight around the world. New Guinea. Lost contact. I see that down here. I'm going to turn it over to the back side here. Lost at sea. So I can already tell this one's going to be about her last flight, even though it does mention her accomplishments a little bit in there. It's mostly about her last flight, so I'm going to put it on the back here on this side. Last flight and disappearance. Last flight and disappearance. Flight and disappearance for that. Once you got that written down, put a B here. And I'm going to guess this last one's about legacy because that's the only topic we have left. And sure enough, Earhart's set amazing records and accomplished a wide variety of achievements, leaving a legacy. Wow, they even use it there in the sentence. So let's label this last one legacy. Put a B by legacy. Okay, keep going. I'm going to move kind of fast through this part, like I said, so we can have time. Label this next one as C for Article C. This is page 147. I can see that word born, 1897. I already know this is going to be her early life. Early life. After flying for 7 years, Earhart was invited to the transatlantic flight with American publisher. Okay, I'm going to keep going. This is going to be her first flight. And I see that word achievements right here. So I'm going to call this one first flight. And accomplishments. In the back. Oh, and you guys can add C to those topics on your big white page there. Oops. Oh, it starts right here. Sorry, before turning it over. All of these were fine accomplishments for Earhart and her flying machine. I see New Guinea. I'm thinking this is her last flight. This is probably when she got lost. Yep, lost at sea. I see it right there. Lost at sea. So this is going to be her last flight. And disappearance. And looking ahead at the next one, this is talking about she received a trophy and transportation between cities, establishment of the 99s. This is again her legacy. Let me know if I'm going too fast for you guys. I want to make sure to just squeeze all this in before we get started here on the other. So on this possible topics, you're just going to add C to all this. But make sure you label them too, okay? Don't skip this part. You need to make sure to label it. So when you come back to that paragraph, you know where it's at. So Lucy, are you writing this down on your articles? Okay, good. It looks like everybody's done with that article. Let's do the last one really quick. Oops, not that. That's the checklist. Hang on. D. Go ahead and write a D at the top with a box around it. Sorry, it takes me a minute. I gotta erase my notes here. I probably don't even have to erase them because it's probably going to be the same. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. This is D, and we've got birth, girls. Yep. Hold on. This one the same. Is it early life again? I think this one, yeah, it is. Early life again. On the first paragraph. Early life. Next one is her first flight and accomplishments. I'm going to put first and then F and then A. We can remember that, right? That's quicker. First F and A. Her accomplishments. The next one I'm thinking is when she got lost. Yep, final destination. Lost. I see it at the very bottom here. It says lost contact with Earhart. Last F and then D for disappearance. See what I'm doing here? Hopefully this makes sense to you guys. And that paragraph continues. And then the last one is going to be her legacy, as you probably already figured out. Now, when you do real research, it's not going to be so easy to find all of those topics, but they wanted to make it easy for you guys as your first practice for this type of writing about a person here. You guys have done this before, so this is legacy. And then on your list of possible topics, you're going to just add a D to everything. All right. We're going to blast through this. I'm sorry, I got to pick up the speed a little bit here. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are good. Tracking with me, you know what we're doing. Okay, good. All right. Go back to your white page here. So this should all have D's on it too. They all have A, B, C, and D. So that tells me I am going to need A, B, C, and D for my outlines. So open it back up. Let's set those up. The first box on the upper right, A. And I know if you have a regular size piece of paper, you're going to have to write kind of small here, but it's going to be 1 through 5. 4 and 5 is in parentheses like that. Same with B. Roman numeral 1 again. And just to give you a heads up, you're only going to write your first paragraph this week because we took so long to get all this other stuff done. C. And then D down here underneath A is going to be D. Roman numeral 1, because you've got 4 articles to go through. And then in the bottom, in the middle, you guys know goes here, fused outline. This one is going to have 1 through 7. Roman numeral 1, 1 through 7, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is the only one in parentheses, okay? And then write that word clincher at the bottom of that to remind you to include that. Okay. For your first paragraph, whenever you're writing about an actual person in history, you have to start with their early life. Beyond that, it's up to you on how you want to write the next paragraphs, but everybody circle early life here. This is what you're going to focus on when you're writing this first paragraph. You're only going to focus on those paragraphs that you labeled early life. So I'm just going to get you started here under A, next to Roman numeral 1. The pattern is the subject first. Your subject is Amelia Earhart. I'm going to put AE for her name. And you're going to talk about her life, her early life, and you're going to focus on like when she was born. I'm just going to put it born. This is her early life. You're going to focus on that first paragraph of each of those articles. So we're going to put AE for Amelia Earhart, born. AE, born. Here we'll spell it out. Amelia Earhart, born, and then you're going to have a space for one more word. You could put the year she was born. That's what I would put. And maybe the place she was born. Starting off like when she was born, because obviously it was 1800s. That tells us she's not around anymore, right? So that gives context to the person you're writing about. Okay, your job is to finish these outlines for Roman numeral 1 about her early life. Only read those paragraphs. When you go to sit down and do your homework, you have to actually read those paragraphs when you go to do it. Underline some facts that you found interesting. And let me remind you, each article, try to find something different about her early life to put in A, B, C, and D. And then when you put those together for your fused, that's when you have to make sure it flows. Don't put random stuff together, because I know that early life, they even talk about like her going to school and learning about basketball and all that. So start out like where she was born, what year, what her family was like, and then move into like her early school time, like when she was playing basketball, and then like her interest in aviation and things like that. So make sure it flows in a chronological order here when you're copying your facts from the top to the fused. And then, of course, you're going to use your fused to write your first paragraph. That's your homework this week. We had to like turbo speed it there at the end, but any questions about the homework this week? Okay, good. All of this needs to stay in your front pocket so you don't lose it. Put it in your front pocket of your writing binder. And then it's ready to go when you're ready to sit down and do your homework. So that's it for today. Lucy, you're going to stay on with me for a little bit. Everybody else can go, and I'll see you next week. Bye, you guys. Have a good one. Bye, JC. Bye, Zach. Okay. Lucy. Okay, we're going to do some tutoring together. Let me get cleaned up for a second here. Did you get to write all that stuff down that we were working on? Oh, wait, let me stop the